Bill, I've been thinking about you a lot. At least I was this Christmas, because I worked a lot over Christmas, and my family were up north, so I couldn't go and see them. And I thought, what would Bill do in a fictional situation? So I spent Christmas with my agent, and I was sat there thinking, what would Bill do as if he was playing a fictional character? He'd do the exact same thing.
Whereabouts up north?
Preston.
Oh, yeah, great.
In God's own land, Lancashire.
Yeah.
Very easy to get into, very easy to get out of.
Right.
Excellent rail links.
Excellent football team.
Excellent football team, yes. You have just won my heart.
David Beckham.
Oh, my word.
David Moyes.
Nobody remembers David Beckham played for Preston North End.
I know.
That feels so good.
Little known fact.
Oh, Bill, I'm just going to have to centre myself now, because I've lost my train of thought a little bit.
Yeah,
Preston North End.
I know.
Excellent. So, Bill Nighy, hello, sir.
Hello.
Congratulations on the movie. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
On one hand, a government agency puts together a propaganda film to draw America into a global conflict. On the other hand, I think one review called it a politely delightful romantic comedy, which is the most British thing to say about anything. How would you describe it?
It's all of those things. It's a big fat package. And as you suggest, it makes you laugh, it makes you cry, it gives you something to deal with. I like the fact that it doesn't, although it's dealing with large themes, as you suggest, it doesn't forget to entertain you, and it's a good night out.
It's set in the Blitz, and there's a lot of nostalgia about wartime Britain, which I sometimes think may be attributed to the films of the era rather than the time itself. You know, your passport to Pimlico and your A Matter of Life and Death and your Whiskey Galore. It's that kind of era. And of course, in this film, you make a movie within a movie. How was that for you as an actor? And do you look back at those old movies in a different way now?
I did look back on them. I watched a few to get the kind of general tone, and it did make you think of them in a different way. I think the nostalgia is probably driven by the movies, as you suggest, and I watched those movies. I grew up with those movies on Sunday afternoons. I was born just after the war, and I and lots of other people, as you say, have a nostalgia for that period. I think the nostalgia may be, I don't know, I speculate, for a simpler time where people were unified by, you know, one source of danger, and that all the other kind of static of life was unplugged for a while, and you focused on that which unified you rather than that which divided you. And I think there's a yearning for that. But I read somewhere that every generation throughout history has a nostalgia. There is a kind of mechanism, a pattern for a period 60 to 70 years before they were around. So if you were a monk writing in 1640, you would be writing how, you know, things were perfectly okay in the 1570s.
Yeah.
It's always been the case.
In the film, it sort of indulges on a lot of the lifestyle elements of that era, you know, like liquid lunches and chippy paper made out of newspaper and people singing around pianos and things like that. If you could go back in time to the 40s and take something from that era and sort of re-establish it in the 21st century, and then maybe take something from the 21st century and throw that back, like throw Twitter or Justin Bieber or something back to that time, what would you swap?
Well, I wouldn't throw Twitter anywhere. I would spare them that. I quite like the newspaper wrapping on the fish and chips. I have missed that. I didn't realise that until you spoke about it. I'd forgotten about it. But I would definitely bring forward the trousers, because that's when trousers were trousers. In fact, I think all of the clothes were better then. I think everything has been downhill since. The girls look so fabulous. So I would bring all of the styles, the chicer styles from the late 40s, and bring them into the present day.
They would last you a lifetime of trousers from the 1940s.
And also you'd be buried in them, yeah.
Now, finally, I want to talk about football, if I may be so bold. I believe you're a football man. A fan of Crystal Palace as well as the Champions League.
I come from near the nearest. My home team is Crystal Palace, and I don't know if you were around the other night when we took on Arsenal at what we now call Hellhurst Park.
I think recently you described that you enjoy passages of great beauty in football, and there's been a few of those at Palace recently, Wilfried Zaha in particular. Yeah,
and the whole team on that particular occasion, they played beautiful football. I mean, sensational football. A lot of the coverage afterwards was obviously about the so-called, and I'll say so-called, crisis at Arsenal. I know they're going through a difficult patch. They're a marvellous football club, and I do admire Arsene Wenger so tremendously. He's made such a wonderful impact on British football, and I hope that they prosper. But, you know, on the other hand, Eagles, and we did so beautifully, and everybody, you know, Benteke obviously is a wonderful player, and Andros Townsend had a beautiful evening. But everyone in the team were sensational, and there were passages of great beauty all over the place, all over the park, all night long.
Hi. Oh my God! Sorry. Hey!
Zane's got a great voice.
I'll just leave it at that.
I've been wanting to meet you. We haven't met each other yet.
Got some lipstick on your teeth.